Hello everyone, you're listening to our Spider-Man 3 commentary. I'm Sam, and today I'm with my good friend, Kirk Beatty.
Hello everybody, I'm back.
And, Kirk, we're a bit shit. Actually, no, I'll take that back. I'm a bit shit, because we recorded a Spider-Man 3 commentary must have been about a year ago?
Probably a year ago, yeah.
And I lost the file, so it was all very embarrassing, and we lost everything. But whatever, we're back, and we're here to talk about this movie, which we've both recently revisited in our own time, and so it should be interesting doing this commentary now that we've both kind of got a somewhat refreshed take on it.
Yeah.
I'm quite excited to see what kind of stuff we come up with and what we make of the film. So
yeah, same here.
Should be interesting. Right, so everyone, if you want to get your film up to timestamp 0, and what we shall do is we shall all together press play now.
Well, this is the last time we'll get to see this opening with the Columbia Pictures logo with the Elfman score coming through. Even though this Elfman didn't do this one, but
the composer for this one is called Christopher
Young, I believe. Yeah.
Now, I know you've got some strong opinions on this score.
I do. I hate it. Plain and simple. I think, and I'll point out the moments that really bother me, but like the Sandman's theme, I think is pretty uninspiring and a little over the top. Obviously, the big Venom and Black Suit theme is the that you hear constantly throughout the movie, which is a great source of comedy. But yeah, I'm not a fan. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I've kind of gone back and forth. There's some things I like. I think he doesn't quite get the dramatic moments very well. Like you said, it's kind of semi-comedic. There's a bit when it's when it like cuts to him by his police scanner, and he's kind of tapping his fingers, and the theme is just so ridiculously cheesy.
Oh yeah.
And it like you said, it's just comedic. The biggest problem with this movie is the script. 100% the script.
Yeah.
Because it's all there. You've got I still think it's really well directed. It's very it's not the worst thing in the world. I was much more forgiving to this when I spoke about it recently with Anthony in our podcast. I haven't watched this movie in about 5 years. The last time I saw it was today.
Yeah.
Or the most recent time I saw it was today. And I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought that I would, which is interesting.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. A buddy and me watched it just as something fun to kind of watch, and we were kind of, or at least I was shocked at how much we didn't enjoy it. But just it's funny, while we're on the intro here that's playing, it's really weird seeing this like color grading on the footage. Like, look at that from the first film, where it looks like Man of Steel. Like, it's really weird seeing like this grayed out version of the first two films, especially with the first film, because that's a pretty colorful film. It's really weird to see.
I want to say they up the contrast a little bit on this one, not by a huge lot, but the blacks seem a bit heavier.
Yeah, definitely. The weird thing about this as a trilogy to me is how different all three films look. You could make the assumption that they're three different directors, I think, just in terms of how the film looks. Here's the reused footage from Spider-Man 2, by the way. This is...
Yes. They flip half of it around just to try and get away with it.
Yeah, that's really sad. Like, that's where we're at this point in the...
the first shot in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's the last shot of the last movie. There's ways around. That kid's Jewish. I've never noticed that before. Very bizarre detail that he's wearing a yarmulke.
That little girl, like, I felt like she looked into the camera just then. But we're always looking at Toby, so I don't think we realise. It's the first time I've noticed that.
So, one of my biggest problems with this movie is mainly the fact that the characterization of Peter Parker just feels completely wrong to me in terms of consistency with the previous two films.
Yeah.
Toby still gives it his all. There's some really nice, performances in there. He's not the problem, but the problem is, I don't know. It's basically, I feel like in this he's playing the more charismatic, cocky, kind of loudmouth version of the character that is often depicted in the comics and cartoons. And that's not the character that we've been following, and it's not the character that Toby has made endearing for the past two films. I think this Peter Parker is the more timid and awkward guy, and I don't have a problem with them, making him a bit happier, but another part of the problem is that he's so happy, and there are no problems, or the way he perceives it, there are no problems in his life, that the only place that the movie can go is downhill, and you don't really want to see that. It's not a feeling that it's not something you want to see. You don't want to see his life crumble around him.
No, exactly. And you've brought up this point to me before as well, is like one of the big issues, well, actually we were talking about this earlier, one of the big issues with Peter Parker in this film is the beginning is he's all happy and his life is perfect, and I'm at the top of my class and I'm dating the girl of my dreams and everybody really likes Spider-Man. It's like, oh, well, yeah, I guess, the lessons that you learned in Spider-Man 2 don't mean anything. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, it's like if you start it like that, I don't know, the movie's over. Done.
Yeah. Like you said, it can only go downhill from here, and boy, does it go downhill.
Well, the places that it goes downhill just feel so artificial and forced. I mean, again, it all comes down to trying to fit all of these to-dos into one feature.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem, is that the movie's really, really fucking long to accommodate all of that.
Yeah.
That's one of my big issues with just trying to sit down and watch it. Because just on an entertainment factor, and I'd argue that it is entertaining, but Christ, it goes on, and there's the midsection drags, and it's all just trying to get all that stuff in there, all those plot points, Sandman, Venom, and everything's kind of having to be bent over backwards to try and work, and it's just a mess.
We go an extraordinarily long time in this film without seeing certain characters. Like, we go a long time without seeing Eddie Brock. We go a long time without seeing Sandman. We go a long time without seeing Harry. Like, these characters come back into the story when the script decides it's time to bring them back. There's no fluidity. It's not organic. This script is just so packed and all over the place, and it's really sad to see. Obviously, they wanted to top what they had done, Spider-Man 2, which for the longest time was hailed as one of the best, comic book movies or action movies or whatever, of the last however many years. And obviously they wanted to top it with this, and this film did make more money than the other two films. That should probably be said. So as much as people didn't like it, people sure saw it a lot, and it made a lot of money.
Well, this is the highest grossing movie of 2007.
Yeah. And I think it's still the highest grossing Spider-Man movie. So,
yes,
we'll see at the end of this year. But, what's
so the one Spider-Man movie that everyone went to go see was the one that dropped the ball.
Exactly, yeah. What's funny is Spider-Man 1 came out in 2002, and Spider-Man 2 came out in 2004, and this came out in 2007. The new films... Amazing Spider-Man came out in 2012, so 10 years after the first. Amazing 2 in 2014, so 10 years after 2.
That's a very good point.
And Spider-Man Homecoming, 2017. I find that really, really bizarre that they each come out 10 years after. Yeah, I just...
How weird, I've never even caught on to that.
Yeah, I think that's super weird.
There's some really nice camera work employed in this film. There's some really nice tricks with the photography where we think we're seeing one thing and we'll pan over and we'll see something else. Like, technically speaking, the movie's really on point. I think the photography's really nice. It's some of the most cinematic I think we've had in the trilogy. You know, there's tons of iconic shots in the movie that, you know, people still refer to as great, you know, Spider-Man iconography today.
Yeah.
And you can hang half of these shots on, you know, on your wall. I mean, they look fantastic. And Bill Pope photographed this, and he did the previous two films, so it's interesting that it must be tonally why this feels at odds with the previous... Because, I mean, Spider-Man 2 looks noticeably different from Spider-Man 1.
It does, yeah.
This is a nice shot panning around the web as they're kissing. Yeah, it's... in fact, one thing I'll say, because it just came a second ago, we just saw a panning shot from showing us the Green Goblin masks. Yeah. One of them looks very noticeably like a Hobgoblin mask, and I swear to God, that's what I was thinking they were going to do the entire time approaching this movie. I was convinced that was the direction they were going to go in. And I have no idea why they didn't. I mean, how easy would it have been to take the mold of that mask, spray paint it yellow, give him essentially the same costume, and just put a cloak over him, and he's Hobgoblin?
Yeah, I would have preferred that to what they do. Also, it's kind of weird, and I guess we were talking over it when it happened. The thing with Harry actually going...
We're going to do that a lot because there's so much happening in this movie.
Yeah, exactly. But like we've just talked over the symbiote landing, we'll get to that. But now we're on
Sandman shit.
Oh my God. Yeah. But Harry did the Goblin serum testing just now. Like, did you not get the impression that he had already gone through it at the end of Spider-Man 2 when you saw that movie? Like, he's standing there looking all evil with a green tie at MJ's funeral. It's like, oh, he only did it now?
That never really bothered me. What bothered me was that, I don't know, I feel like if Peter's already thinking of asking Mary Jane to marry him, at least a few months have gone by, and I just don't buy that he wouldn't have tried to speak to Harry before now.
And this is
and also something that bothers me is Harry takes the Green Goblin serum, gas, whatever you want to call it. That thing is supposed to make you crazy, right?
Yeah. I don't know what his... And I don't want to sound like, you know, a douchebag, I know film kind of guy, but like, I don't know what his motivation is to actually take it. Like, he... does he want to kill Peter? Like, he saw Norman in the mirror. Is he constantly seeing Norman? Like, we don't know. There's that one scene, and then he discovers everything, and now he decides he wants to be the Green Goblin. Like, he doesn't know anything about what his father went through, being the Goblin, or any of that.
Yeah. Well, part of the thing that I thought was going on was they were kind of doing a bit of a homage to his drug addiction in the comics, where he became so obsessed with his dad's death and the fact that he was resented by him, and it all just kind of coalesced into this horrible, tormented bulge of revenge, and he just became so obsessed by it that kind of became his addiction. It was kind of like a metaphorical addiction.
Yeah.
And I kind of got the impression that we could just assume that Harry had kind of gone nuts, and that he was seeing Norman, and that it was up to us to decide if that was a ghost thing. They were never going to be explicit about it. This kind of does make it explicit. Sorry everyone if this seems a bit jarring. We Skype is a bitch, and we lost the connection, but we're back. So yeah, what I was saying about Harry is that I kind of thought that they were doing a metaphorical addiction type of thing, where he was just so obsessed with tracking down Spider-Man, getting his revenge, and that him seeing Norman was up to us to decide if that was a ghost or if that was just his, you know, state of mind. This kind of does explicitly just... The only way that they can shake Harry out of his amnesia is to explicitly have Norman's ghost show up and go, "What the fuck you doing?" So it kind of ruins that mystique a little bit. Ruins it a lot.
It does. And I feel like we'll probably get to that, but I've always thought it would have been a lot more interesting. I mean, the first time I saw this film, I thought Harry was faking it, and I think that would have been more interesting, faking his amnesia.
Sure.
But yeah, so the meteorite landed on Earth near where Peter Parker was standing. I remember reading for months before the movie came out rumors that it was going to be John Jameson, who was established in the second film as an astronaut, was coming back, to Earth from some space exploration, and the symbiote came back to Earth with that, which would have made perfect sense. It's been done before. It's been done in other places. They didn't do that. It just landed on Earth, and I guess NASA and nobody that watches that sort of thing knows or cares that happened. So, yeah, that's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, the warning signs are there straight away with just how so much of this film is shoehorned and contrived just to, like I say, just to fit everything together. Yeah, it's, it was a mandate that they, it wasn't a mandate, but they knew very well that, fans wanted to see Venom, and the studio was obviously pushing for it a lot. But Sam and Toby were also very passionate about doing Sandman throughout all the films. If you look at the interviews, they're always talking about, hopefully one day we'll get to do Sandman. And they just needed to focus. They needed to cut something. They needed to figure out what is the story that we're telling, and that's it really. They just needed to focus the script. And as Sam Raimi says on the commentary, they hadn't really... The majority of the script period was pulling things back and trying to make everything work. And I think he says something along the lines of they didn't actually get a finished script until about 1 week before they were shooting. And that shows on screen. I mean, they were even coming up with things and writing new scenes and changing ideas while they were filming it. And the release date for this was set before Spider-Man 2 had even come out. So there was obviously a lot of expectations riding on this. It's a bit like, with some of the
today.
Yeah, with some of the Marvel movies or the DC films, especially, where, they gotta hurry up, and there's no time to just breathe and think about story structure and character arcs, and you've got to make that movie. And it's sad because, you listen to what Raimi and the cast, they really gave a shit about these films, and they really cared about what the characters were going through. And, they just want to... Naturally, no one goes into a movie trying to make a bad movie, but sometimes people do just not really give a shit. Sometimes it's just work, and you can tell that, these guys really believed in this. So it's sad I mean, it made all the money, whatever, but it's sad to see this was kind of the end of that era, because, it was a lot of love and craft went into it.
Yeah. Here's where the CGI starts to take a real dive.
Yes. I like seeing Spider-Man out of costume in a fight scene. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't get that ever. So this is really fun. Like, I've always thought this shot here was particularly cool. Like, we see Spider-Man with his mask off plenty in fight scenes, but yeah, seeing Peter Parker in action is pretty fun. Unfortunately, we have the infamous snowboarder goblin here, but this is an interesting... I don't know what inspired this choice. Like, I kind of get the fact that it's sort of like a proto-suit, maybe, and he hasn't got all the pieces together, and he doesn't care about being a goblin. He's just looking to kill Peter.
I want to know where his mask goes.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Although that's also in Civil War, when Tony Stark's helmet just appears from behind his neck.
Yeah, that's sort of always been the case with Iron Man, so I guess I've somewhat been willing to give that a pass. But
this shot that's on screen right now, this is one of many examples where we get really up close to CGI faces.
Yeah.
And it's also an example of... I mean, what we're seeing right now with flashes of Harry kind of beating Peter up, there's a lot of really quick CGI sequences where I really struggle to tell what I'm actually seeing.
Oh, yeah. There's... In this sequence, and then later in the big final battle, there's a lot of that. Like, I don't know how high up in the air they are. Like,
yeah. Oh, that's really an issue towards the end when him and Venom are doing their endless dive, and then Venom stops, and then suddenly Peter is like another 5,000 feet above the ground when it looked like he was about to hit it. You know.
Yeah. And like the ring is still falling to the ground. It's not like anything's in slow motion, apart from when we actually get to the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very weird. And I never even got originally there that he like throws his mask originally. Like it was those kinds of things where I'm like, what is going on? It's so quick. Just gotta slow things down a little bit. But you know, I don't mind this fight scene. I mean, it's a well constructed fight scene. And
funny
you know,
enough, I think my favorite stuff in the film is the Harry and Peter fight scenes. Like even the one later, I like as well, where they're once again just in regular clothes. So I would have preferred that. Like I would maybe prefer it if Harry, you know, was sort of just in a generic get up here, but then he's got all these little like gadgets where it's like, oh no, you've clearly put some thought into this, you know. It's
This like, bit when he tries to stab him took me ages to realise that he hit a pipe.
Yeah.
I like Toby's line there, though.
Yeah.
Like
this
you know,
stuff is like, oh, it's fun to return to this. And if he's got these like old school pumpkin bombs, like why doesn't he just use the old glider and things like that, where it's like you've designed all these other things so you aren't being a goblin. But
and has he designed this stuff? Because we've established in previous movies that Harry is not a genius whatsoever, and that Peter helped him through high school. So who built? Was it Bernard, or whatever his butler's name is?
I hope it was Bernard. Yeah, he's like, I wanted to build him a glider that wouldn't pierce his gilder, but he wouldn't listen.
Apparently, that actor is Bill Paxton's dad.
Yeah. I can't help it. That boing bang, that always cracks me up. He just wanted to stop him, and instead he gave him brain damage. Like, what a friend.
They released like this entire fight sequence online. Before the movie came out, I remember watching it quite a bit.
Yeah, I remember watching. There was a review show in Australia called At the Movies with Margaret and David. And I used to watch that a fair bit on a Wednesday night. And I remember when they reviewed Spider-Man 3 and they showed this entire sequence. Yeah. I remember getting really excited for the movie. Just sort of seeing action sequences with these characters again was really fun.
I find it kind of humorous that he picks him up there.
Yeah, he picks him up, and you got to wonder, like, did he take him to the hospital in his goblin clothes, or did he undress him in the alley?
I want to see the deleted scene where the doctor goes, so what happened? He fell over.
He fell off a building into a...
So it's coming up, but I'll say it while I remember it now. Actually, no, I'll save it for when the scenes come up, but yeah. So we're watching Sandman running away from cops.
Yeah, this isn't green screen at all. Look at this. This looks good.
Apparently one of the dogs mauled his little ankle while they were shooting this.
Oh, really?
And
well, apparently it was this vicious-ass dog.
Apparently it was Thomas Hayden Church's suggestion that he punch the dog.
You know that dog that bit me? Can I punch it? It'll be good for the character.
I want to punch the dog. So this is complete bullshit.
This is so silly. Obviously, they have to find a way to turn him into the Sandman. I get it. I can maybe suspend my disbelief that the machine also turned his clothes and his shoes all into sand, but like not his necklace. Like it changed his DNA and also changed the DNA of his clothes. But just the idea of we've got some extra weight. Oh, it's probably just a bird. That's so silly.
I don't mind anything about his clothes or you know the power stuff. It's the fact that they're running this experiment at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, like what experiment is it? Like they're trying to change sand into what?
Because, like, in Spider-Man 2, you've got this whole setup of what the experiment is that's gonna, affect the villain. In this, it's just, it's a sand thingy.
Yeah. Like, later in the film, there could have been a scene where Peter visits these guys, and they're like, oh no, we were running an experiment to see if sand could mutate or whatever. Like, some explanation could have been good. Here, It's like you get caught in a sandstorm, you'll get turned into the Sandman. Like, beware.
So, I still think that the sound effects are tremendous in this film. Some of the best
I think
visual effects work that they've done. This will still be Sony ImageWorks, won't it?
I think so. Yeah.
But yeah, fantastic. I mean, there's a whole special feature documentary on the DVD about how much time and effort went into just getting the sound right, and it has, that you can probably find a few imperfections now. What with Blu-ray and such, and this is 10 years old now, this movie, which is nuts to think.
Yeah.
But it looks fantastic. There are loads of purely CGI shots that I think look straight up real. It looks really photorealistic.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that there would be such convincing sound effects and then such iffy close-ups of CGI faces.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, Spider-Man 2 won the Academy Award for CGI. So it's funny when people bring up, Suicide Squad was the first comic book movie. Take that, Marvel. It's like, no, Spider-Man 2, the first comic book movie to win an Oscar. Yeah, like, you go from how amazing and groundbreaking the CGI was in that film to here, and the sand is great, and then everything else is just sort of not that inspiring. It's like Spider-Man still looks good flying, swinging around, but there's a lot in this that does not work. I guess Venom looks okay, but yeah, I don't know. But, like, there's just moments that we will point out when they appear on screen that just look really weird. And
James Franco's performance in this scene.
It's so good. He's so over the top happy.
Amazing. I think he becomes so much fun when he gets his memory back that I wish he was like that the whole movie.
Yeah,
because he goes full on green. He goes full Goblin, and he does some terrific expressions, makes some great faces, and he is so obviously enjoying being so ridiculously evil, and it's so much fun to watch. I've got no problems with James Franco in this movie. He's fantastic.
Yeah, I think James Franco's great in this.
Yeah.
and this brings up what we were sort of discussing earlier of the idea that Harry was faking it. This line here of "my best friends, I'd give my life for them" is so ominous. It's a shame they didn't go down that road. But I also want to bring up the timeline between Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 is 2 years. They say in the film multiple times that it's been 2 years since Uncle Ben was killed, and it was also 2 years between the films being released. Here, obviously 3 years between the films being released. There's no way 3 years have passed, and because they talk about how Harry and Peter, like, there's something up with them according to MJ. And I guess Peter hasn't told MJ that Norman was the Green Goblin. Like, he's told her a bunch of other stuff, like the night the carjacker, died and everything, but not that Norman was the Green Goblin. That's why they're having an argument. But yeah, like, it's so unclear how much time has passed here, because Harry has only just gone through the Goblin, experiment. Peter and MJ are looking at getting married, so like you said, they have to have been together for at least a number of months. It's so unclear, and it's annoying.
And one thing that we'll see throughout the film is that a huge problem with Peter and MJ's relationship is that they just don't tell each other things, and really they've got no reason to do that, because the whole point of Spider-Man 2 was that they were going to be honest with each other, and they were willing to work on that relationship, and they grew as characters, and I think I don't understand why Peter doesn't tell Mary Jane about Harry. I don't understand why Mary Jane later doesn't tell Peter that she lost her job and is then angry at him that he doesn't kind of figure that out.
Yeah.
It's an unhealthy relationship, and I don't see any real reason why they would have to lie to each other at this point, especially, like you say, if he's already telling her, stuff like when he tracked down the robber, and presumably he hasn't told that to anyone else. So,
yeah,
we should probably say something while it's on screen. The Sandman birthing sequence, which is probably the best sequence in the movie. The tough thing about Sandman in this movie is that, honestly, he needed to be cut out, but he brings, mainly with this scene, he brings the movie its best moment.
Yeah, Sandman, I think, is well cast. I like the effects on him. I think they do some really cool sequences with him, and like this, and then a couple of the fights later, I think, do look really cool. But yeah, it's just a shame that story-wise, he's one of the things that's kind of holding the story is running in place.
Yeah.
It's
well,
shame.
It feels like a different movie every time he comes back into the fold.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm curious. What do you like the theme during that birthing sequence?
Yeah, that music was fine. It's more the
yeah.
like.
Well,
yeah.
Again, it's the dramatic stuff. I think he goes too silly with it.
Yeah. Man, how much time has passed between Peter seeing MJ's play? Because this review has come out like 3 days later.
What's funny is you could probably do some kind of edit where she talks about the reviews for Spider-Man 3.
That is true. Oh, why has no one ever done that?
I want royalties. Frank, get on it. I for those that don't know, I just gave a funny suggestion to Frank once that he do some kind of edit with audio from The Incredibles of Holly Hunter saying, "You knocked down a building," and it turned into a big Batman v Superman trailer mashup, and it got posted by a couple websites. And what's funny is you had stuff that actually wrote about where the inspiration came from, and it's just I'm on some website, you just read, "The idea came from Sam Gavin suggesting that he." It's so weird how things come together, but that's quite a fun little thing that happened.
Yeah,
I'm not
so awesome.
I'm not a trailer editor, so I get people to do what I want to see.
It's great. Like, I had different people in my life that do not know my relationship with you or Frank that said, "Oh, have you seen that fun Batman Superman trailer where it's like a buddy cop comedy?" And it's like, yeah, I have actually.
So bizarre.
Yeah, it's great. The symbiote is just hanging out in Peter's room.
Yeah, must be pretty.
Like, it's not venturing out anywhere. I don't know how it made it up from Peter's bike to his room, but it did.
Maybe it crawled up his bum.
It crawled up his anus and then came into his room. Maybe that's it. And speaking of that,
so apparently this guy,
it's my copier.
Apparently this guy was a magician for Bryce Dallas Howard's birthday party as a child. Very bizarre.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Trivia. This stuff is kind of well done, but I mean that shot there of it breaking the building's a bit meh.
Yeah, you can tell a lot that the actors are what's happening there? Like,
that woman gets blown back.
Yeah.
That's always seemed off to me.
And look at how concerned James Cromwell is here. I mean, we'll get to in a second him not really caring that his daughter's up there, but like he's like, cut the power to the whole block. Like, I don't know, he is so phoning it in. James Cromwell's a really good actor.
For ages, I didn't quite actually occur to me that was meant to be Captain Stacy. I mean, Gwen Stacy and Captain Stacy are very different characters in this movie. Not quite her dad, but mainly Gwen. But their relationship is just barely touched upon. It's referenced only in the dialogue, yeah, it just for ages I never even clocked on that he was in this movie. That character, such an iconic character.
Yeah.
Introduction of Eddie Brock.
The introduction. Yeah, and it's
34 minutes into the movie.
Gwen, what is she doing up there? Like, who are you? He's more concerned about the man he's dating than the fact that she's about to die. Like, he's not like, we need to get a crane up there and save her. Like, there's nothing. He doesn't give a crap.
Save my fucking daughter.
Yeah.
Some cool web swinging scenes coming up.
Yeah.
Mainly the shot following down while he's dodging all kinds of stuff. It's very, very nicely done.
Yeah. Man, this crane is super out of control. Like,
yeah.
It is just causing all sorts of damage to that building.
And I think confused Matthew brought this up, is that he just kind of webs off, but there's still a crazy crane on the loose.
That is true. Yeah,
the building's still coming
tons
down.
Of debris, yeah, falling. Like, he just leaped off of like a giant piece of floor or something and could have, I don't know, maybe swung back up there and stopped that from falling and crushing the people below. Something. It's like this one person is safe and that means the danger's gone.
I'll say the costume looked great in this bit.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty certain it's the exact same one, more or less, they had in 2, but looks really just... I love the richness of that red. Looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Gorgeous outfit.
It's still my favorite of the movie Spider-Man suits by a mile.
Yeah.
I think the Amazing 2 suit looks good. I don't like the fact that it's the same symbol on the front and the back. That just bugs me. But it's also just such a huge departure from the first film that they were like, we should just make a suit that's closer to Spider-Man, shouldn't we? It's like, okay, good job.
Well, we'll probably get to that.
Yeah. Well, here's the Daily Bugle.
I don't understand why Jameson's office has to change location in every movie.
Yeah, it didn't get destroyed last time, whereas they had an excuse.
Yeah.
The first time.
Although there is a nice little reference. Somewhere in one of these scenes, you see a cover that references the Spidey and Green Goblin attacking the Bugle, and something like editor in chief is safe and sound, don't worry, or something like that. Yeah.
Also, like the one behind him currently that we can't really see is Doc Ock is still at large.
Yeah.
Like, apparently that was such an important selling newspaper that they had to frame it. Not because it's a reference to the last film. Like, when you actually think of the logic of it.
J.K. Simmons in the best cast role of the century. I'm sure we've sucked this guy's dick enough in the past previous commentaries, but he is fantastic in these films. And he's really funny in this little setup. And I like that Betty Brant gets a little more to do. I think that Elizabeth Banks is good in the role.
Elizabeth Banks is really good, and it's funny because she would have been getting a little bit more famous. There's the Goblin terrorizing show note back there. Yeah, she is sort of a bigger star at this point. Like, I think a year later she probably would have done like Zack and Miri and all that. So she's getting a little bit more notable, and here she is in this sort of small role in Spider-Man. But I guess
with James
something yeah, exactly. But I really wanted to bring up the fact that like a year ago there was an article that came out about her auditioning for MJ in the first Spider-Man film, and they said no because...
Oh yes, I remember this.
What was it? Was it that
it was something like she's like she's somewhat older than Maguire.
She was older than Maguire, that's right.
Or
and it
they
was
might have been
the
similar, or they
article
might
turned
actually have
into
been. They might have been similar ages, but there was more concern about her being that particular age and Maguire. Some bullshit female politics thing going on there.
yeah, it was just, it's funny because it turned into a big thing of, oh, Hollywood doesn't cast actress because of age, and it's like, or maybe she wasn't right for the role. Like Kirsten Dunst was actually 18, 19 when they made Spider-Man 1, so she was a little closer to the age that they were casting.
I don't like that there's nothing in this movie really of just everyday Peter Parker struggles. It kind of there. You can make an argument that that stuff is in here. Again, I think it's mostly dictated by all the several thousand plot points. But there's just no scene of him, being late for work or not making rent or something that emphasizes, he's trying to live a normal life. It feels way too oversaturated with all the thousands of other plot points. I never feel like there's just a moment where we're in the company of regular old Peter Parker, and the movie doesn't quite, remind itself what it's meant to be about.
Yeah. Here's Stan. This is a good scene. This is one of my favorite cameos. Although I think I might have mentioned to you before, for the longest time I thought Stan was actually talking about himself. It wasn't until someone pointed out, he's like, no, he's talking about Spider-Man. Like, oh, right.
He probably would do that if he was cameoing now.
Yes.
So yeah, now Harry and Peter are friends again.
Yeah.
Toby, Franco, and Raimi talk a lot in the commentary about how much they believed in this friendship being a vital part of the movie, and there was some kind of intention to remind the viewer of their friendship and the mistrust and yet the good times that they had. And the problem is that I have no idea what the movie is trying to tell me about their friendship, because the way I've always found it, and this has been in pretty much all the iterations, and specifically the first two movies, is that Harry wasn't really a very good friend. They obviously would have had their good times or whatever, as any friends do, but, Harry always resented Peter, and it was always going to go down a darker path. He was always destined to go down that path. And, the stuff he does to Peter in the first one, is kind of dickish. He goes after the girl that he knows he likes.
Yeah.
And, and then, the stuff he says to Mary Jane, Harry's not a good guy. So, sorry everyone, it happened again, but we're back, and, I never got the impression that Peter and Harry's friendship really was that much of a friendship. I just don't know what they're trying to tell me in this movie about their friendship. I have no idea what I'm supposed to take away from it. That was a cameo by Chris Young, who we clearly love.
Oh, who's he? Is he on the piano?
He's kneeling by the piano next to the pianist.
He was the one that did the real good piece of acting there, making his little face. Oh, I'm glad they put him in the movie. These guys play this so well.
They do. They're very good.
Hi, we tried to call you, and then we can say you got ill. I love how they play that. I think that is so perfect.
It's a bit bizarre about the whole reviews thing. That, I don't know, if her performance was bad, then maybe I'd get it. But, she seemed to be doing fine when we went and saw her.
Yeah, we need to see more of her to know that she was bad. If it's just meant to be that, I guess it's meant to be they put so much faith in critics that they ended up changing it. Which, once again, is ironic in this movie. But it's... when the only bit we saw of her was where she was just she was fine. It was, yeah. And here we have awkward Peter dancing. Look at him go. Look at him go. What the hell?
Another emphasis.
There was a sign there that said, "Is there a Spider Woman?" I've never noticed that. Huh.
Interesting. Is
there are
a
several
Ben Reilly?
comics. Just someone puts up all sorts of stuff. Is there a Spider-Man 2099?
But yeah, there's a huge thing in the movie about Peter's pride and it kind of becoming a problem. Again, it seems so
There's the
unfocused.
Spider-Woman sign just walking past. Sorry, go ahead.
Again, it seems so unfocused that I don't really know what they're trying to tell me. Because what I would imagine, if the focus really was on Peter's pride and he kind of was giving into that, there's ways to make this work. I don't think that you have to have the movie start off really happy and then bring the characters down. I think you can start it where it's, he's got some of that happiness, but, life still isn't perfect and he still has his issues. But they keep bringing up this thing about his pride and it kind of getting in. He's kind of indulging too much in this new celebrity lifestyle. But I mean, the way the movie ends, he approaches the final battle with everyone still applauding him, and I don't know what the movie's trying to tell me, because Mary Jane gives him, has beef with him about it, and she calls it to his attention, but there's no place where, where Spider-Man, loses the public trust, or he maybe cocks up and people... Because what I would imagine would be a logical place to take it was that he loses the public's trust again, and it kind of goes a bit downhill. But then there's maybe a moral in there about, well, he isn't Spider-Man for pride. Maybe that's a lesson he learns. Maybe he knows he shouldn't have indulged himself. That's not why he's Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man because of responsibility, and bring up all those same quotes and stuff. There's something you could have done with it, but the movie ultimately is just so distracted, and here's a random sand van lorry thing in the middle of New York for no reason.
Yeah, good convenience there. The thing I find really funny about that particular scene, and I think it's actually brought up in the commentary by Tobey Maguire, is that cop, he doesn't know that he's a Sandman, so he just goes for it with that shovel,
chop his arm off.
Yeah, he could have cut his head off. So yeah, like you said, the convenience of there just being a sand truck, that's a thing that's just around, especially in New York. What's the need for all that sand in New York City? So this Spider-Man celebration,
I mean, I'll say that I kind of like the idea of seeing Harry and MJ in a different, kind of seeing them both together again on screen, just them two, because we didn't really get any of it in Spider-Man 2, and we know there's that.
Yeah.
They've got a whole history from Spider-Man 1. I kind of like revisiting that relationship, in just to see how they interact with each other now. I like seeing something in there. But obviously they cock it up later when she kisses him.
They do.
Again, James Franco almost plays this like he expected there to be a reveal towards the end, at some point that Harry was faking it, because he plays it so cheerfully.
Yeah.
That great extra there in the background, just staring. Actually, speaking of extras, when Spider-Man shows up, the woman on the left of Bryce Dallas Howard, she overeggs
I was going to bring up the
so
exact same thing.
Much. That's one of those. Notice me. Right, get ready.
She puts her hands on her head and here we go. Look at her go. Spider-Man! Oh my God! Ah!
What do you think of them playing the theme?
Yeah, this is what I was going to bring up. Actually, they played the theme. The writing on the stage is the Spider-Man movie font.
I never even noticed that.
Yeah, there's a little much here that's too self-aware.
Yeah.
And
Saying that, I actually really like when Venom calls to him in the animated series font, or the comic font.
yeah, that's kind of cool. But yeah, even in that scene, he says, "My spider sense is tinkling," and
Yeah.
I love that one kid. No, Spider-Man, no. It's great.
So you
And,
probably want to say something about this.
Yeah, Peter Parker's a huge dickhead. Um, like he doesn't know that this is wrong.
Yeah.
And the upside down thumbs up cracks me up. Yeah, he does this in front of MJ and is surprised later when MJ is offended by this. And you can look on his face in that scene later, like he knows he screwed up and he wants Gwen to get out of there as soon as possible because he knows he's done the wrong thing. Guilty.
I want to say,
yeah.
There was a shot that just went by. Of course, immediately we have to change subject because the movie.
Yeah.
Sandman has now entered the scene, and we're doing the Sandman action scene. There's a shot where we follow the sandstorm, and it goes through like a sea of people, but the camera holds on those people for so long that for ages I really expected him to just like the sand to leave and just leave like a trail of standing skeletons that are all going to fall down.
That's probably what should have happened.
Yeah.
Like, those people are likely dead, you know, if they inhaled that much sand.
And that's producer something Curtis or whatever, I can't remember his name.
Grant Curtis?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Now this interaction is straight out of issue 4 of Amazing Spider-Man.
I'm the chauffeur around these parts.
No, apparently that was ad-libbed.
That's pretty great.
Apparently they used an amputee boxer for that shot.
Yeah, that's bizarre. Like, they couldn't get Maguire to throw the punch.
Yeah, very weird.
And the boxer they got had one arm. Like, this is
CG
classic
on that
Spidey
door's a bit
stuff. Like,
sketchy.
yeah. Now he's on top of the truck. But yeah, some of this stuff is super cool, like classic Spidey Sandman stuff, like the hammer fist and the kicking his legs out from under him. There's some really cool stuff in here that in a different movie would have been, you know, the stuff that people remember the most.
What's nice is it's like the only scene between Spider-Man and a supervillain where there's not some bullshit personal drama. It's just a guy robbing a bank and Spider-Man stopping him. It's the closest the movie gets to being a fun Spider-Man moment.
Yeah. I've got to say that shot of Sandman looking down at the truck as Spider-Man crawls out has always bothered me. And I realized why recently. It's because everything's in focus.
Right. So it looks flat.
It's flat, and it's clearly because, you know, Sandman was standing in front of a green screen or whatever. Or probably a blue screen because it showed as green. But yeah, and they add him in, and it's like, it doesn't look right.
It's funny, they cut away there just before he has to get the sand out of his butt crack. But I do actually, the edit of Toby going is very funny.
Yeah.
I find that very funny. Her face.
Yeah.
Kirsten Dunst sounds like she had a miserable time filming this movie. If you just hear
really?
the tone of her voice, that's the impression I get, because she's always talking about how this is the one scene where I wasn't upset or crying or complaining, and and then she sounds very relieved when she talks about her final day on the shoot. I get the impression that she just wasn't. She didn't get. I feel like she, like the rest of us, was all too aware that Mary Jane was just a bit. She was always brooding in this movie. That's tonally. This is just a very broody movie.
Yeah.
But fucking Bruce Campbell, Ed Campbell, is on the screen right now.
Campbell's soup.
And
yeah, Bruce Campbell's great.
He's tremendous, and God, can you imagine if they got him to play Mysterio? What a payoff that would have been.
Hello. This stuff is so silly and is such a look. It's Bruce Campbell scene, but he is very funny. It's the I am French. Like, all this stuff is really, really funny. Their favorite coming up. Like, I can't help it but like this scene a lot.
Yeah. I apologise for anyone that can hear my laptop fan chugging away. Just scares me.
I apologise to anyone that can hear birds outside my window.
Damn you.
Well, I live on a street with a lot of trees.
Toby's a lot of fun in this. He plays it well. I don't mind this stuff. He is an uncool nerd. That wasn't an uncle nerd. That was an uncool nerd.
I think that stuff does play in well to him being a dork, and I mean, I remember watching it the first time and you know, getting a big laugh at that. How did that get in there? Like, that stuff's funny. But like I said, it's how he can expect to do this on the same day as he kissed another woman. And he doesn't even start by saying, look, sorry about that. I did what I thought would be good for headlines or whatever. Like, yeah.
There's no explanation.
No. Also, when somebody else took the photo, like, that's something to think about as well. Like, if it was, he was doing something to get a great photo that he could sell to the Bugle and make good money for it, that's another angle you could maybe take. Here, it's another photographer took it, and does JJ even slightly wonder why Peter couldn't get a photo of it? Just all these little things where it's like, that's stupid.
And then, conveniently, Gwen Stacy is there. This is Bruce.
Yeah, this is where I was talking about earlier of look at Peter and how guilty he is.
Yeah, but another thing that they could have played into is, I get the sense that
that big gulp. Yep.
I get the sense that Peter is somewhat there is a guilty expression on his face, and I almost get the impression that he likes having her around because of how much she idolizes him. Like, there's something they could have done with that there. And you know, you're allowed to make him imperfect, but they just don't. There's nothing explicit said about this.
Yeah.
And one thing that actually really bothers me, and it's going to play into a scene coming up, James Cromwell is actually in the background of this scene.
Yeah.
And he knows that Gwen just went over to talk to her friend Peter Parker. In the next scene, he calls up... Oh, they also just disappeared, which is an awkward continuity error.
Yeah.
He straight up calls Peter Parker to tell him that, oh yeah, your uncle's real killer is on the loose.
Yeah. Oops. That's once again too many characters who all intertwine. Because even worse is the fact that Gwen and Captain Stacy are at Harry's funeral at the end of the film. It's like, why the hell are they here? They didn't know Harry.
Yeah.
And if they did, wow, there's another connection that we just don't even get to see in the movie that the movie.
Yeah, they didn't know Harry.
Yeah.
I really scanned my brain to try and remember a scene in which they met at all, and they didn't know him at all.
Nope.
But though Peter is a massive knob, at the same time, why hasn't Mary Jane told him that she got booted from the play?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like these characters should be over this type of thing. It's petty, it's childish, it's unhealthy. And what was the whole point of Spider-Man 2 if they're still going to be keeping secrets from each other?
Yeah.
And it ultimately is just contrivances.
And the fact that we don't know how long they've really been together, if this was legitimately 3 years down the line, and it's like, okay, so honeymoon period of the relationship is over, and they've forgotten that they need to start talking to each other, there's at least something there.
Yeah.
Instead, it's like they've been dating for a few months, and that damn violin player is playing the song that she sings in that play. Oh, God.
Well, to be fair, he hands them the piece of music, doesn't he?
He does. That's what I mean. Like the fact that Peter was like, "And play this," like, you big doofus.
But again, he doesn't know that she was kicked out of the play.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm quite surprised no one told Toby to slim it up a little bit for this one.
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy. But,
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy either, but you
why is he so
cannot
chubby in this
unsee
film?
his double chin.
It's so weird. Like, I don't get it. Like, what he is legitimately he's got some weight to him in this film,
Yeah.
and he still looks great in the Spider-Man suit. So I'm guessing that most of the time it's
all going
either
to be underneath musculature stuff that they add to the costume. But there is a shot.
Exactly.
The shot after he saves the two policemen in the first Sandman attack, they shoot it from a lower angle, and he does look a bit beer belly.
Oh, does he? I haven't noticed that. Right.
So yeah, for some reason, no one told these two that this is. I hate this retcon so much because it's, again, I'm just going to keep bringing up the word contrivance again and again in this. Peter Parker's got to be vengeful and he's got to be angry. So they have to come up with this baloney that the real killer of Uncle Ben was actually Sandman, and that provokes Peter to want to get revenge, and that provokes the symbiote to feed on him. I don't understand, like, how in most stories of the Black Symbiote arc, it couldn't just have... Because one thing that really works about Spider-Man 2 is that when Peter stops being Spider-Man, there's an element of sympathy and empathy there, where you as an audience member kind of go, yeah, I understand that feeling. I would probably, yeah, if the world's constantly getting you down, yeah, fuck it, don't bother. You know, that's, it hits that thing in you where you understand where that comes from. Similarly, if the world was constantly getting Peter Parker down, one thing that really works about the Black Symbiote arc is that you see Peter shout back at the world. And I, as a reader or a viewer, often find a bit of ease in, find something to enjoy in that, because it's kind of a subconscious thing that you want to see, especially in Spectacular Spider-Man when he finally tells Brock to do one, because he's just constantly been shouting at Peter the whole time. There are things, I don't think you need to do this whole crap about some other guy having killed Uncle Ben and now Peter wants revenge. I think you could have just done it where the world is just still getting him down and he's angry. Tap into that idea of, there's that kind of anger inside him that you don't get to see, and maybe he's a bit resentful of the world. And, there's things there that you could pull from this. Instead, I just hate the idea that someone else killed Uncle Ben, and Spider-Man 2 is all about getting over that guilt, and straight within the next movie we're taken straight back to it. I think it's just a terrible choice they made.
It's a really bad choice, and something else is, in that edit there, it's safe to assume the whole movie that that's actually what happened to Uncle Ben. Like, the movie makes you think that. It doesn't at all make you think that Peter's just thinking that. And so you go the whole movie thinking that, and then at the end it retcons itself again by saying, oh no, this is what actually happened. And they also retconned how the carjacker died, because in that flashback there, it made it look like Peter pushed him and he fell out the window. Like, the thing was, he twisted his hand because it had the gun in it, and then he started walking backwards, tripped over a pipe, and fell out the window. And there, Peter does say he tripped and he fell. And it's like, then why did you edit it that way? Who made that choice? That was so dumb.
Yeah, there's just 1,000... Because I don't mind them calling attention to the slight ambiguity of that scene in the first movie, because we know Peter didn't push him, but it does look like he was going to, and he just kind of got lucky that fate allowed him not to have to kill the guy.
Yeah.
There's something that you could pull from that. And again, it's just another one interesting idea in a sea of interesting ideas that never really are narratively satisfied in any kind of way.
Yeah.
I will say I like the continuity of Mary Jane's picture right by his scanner, which is the image that he took in the first Spider-Man.
The problem is that it's not the image he took in the first Spider-Man. It's the shot where she waves to her friends, and Peter thinks that she's waving at him.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. If it was the photo of her, because that would have made total sense. If it was a photo with her, like pointing at the spiders or at the booklet, like
yeah,
that would have been perfect. But it's not that. That's one of the things
they can't even get
movies...
that right.
No. Now, this is not the only offender of this. I hate that in movies when you have images of characters where it's clearly like a production image.
Stills, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see Independence Day 2?
Yes, I sadly did.
I love that shot, by the way. Really, that's one of many examples of just like really nicely composed shots that you can hang on your wall. Of the
Venom going
shadow.
down on Peter.
Yeah. When you put it like that. What are we talking about? I can't remember.
You said Independence Day Resurgence.
Yeah. There's like a a scene clearly taken of there's a picture hanging on Will Smith's son's wall of his mum and Will Smith all hanging out, but it's clearly taken immediately after they shot the finale.
Of course it is.
I find it awkward that Peter sleeps perfectly in his Spider-Man outfit, just straight.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's an awkward setup to get us to the symbiote attaching itself to his costume, and I don't really understand. It's very inconsistent with how many costumes he has, which costume is wrapped up in the symbiote, when he can and can't take it off.
So, this makes you think that the symbiote attached itself to an existing costume.
Yeah.
Later we see, because he really only does have the one costume, and he looks that away later under his bed. But in like a couple of scenes, he goes to take it off the rack, and decides not to. So I guess that means that he doesn't just always wear his Spider-Man suit, like you are kind of led to believe. But
well, yeah, like they have that in Spider-Man too. Like I don't mind them saying like, oh, he puts it on a hanger, but it's the fact that there's got to be 3 costumes, because the symbiote attaches itself to that costume, and there's no indication that
How
he's
did he
got
get this
more than
little
one.
piece? Like what the hell?
Yeah, I guess we should say something about this. Nice to see Connors come back, but it's like this is a fucking alien, and he's like, this is weird.
Well, I was like, don't let any of that get on you. Like, yeah, no shit. You've got this little black creature that you don't even know what it is, and you're like, oh, don't let it get on you. That could be an evil bug, like you don't even know. And yeah, so here's his suit. So I guess the black suit didn't attach itself to the costume.
I guess.
But once again, it attached itself to the costume while he was asleep, and then he woke up outside, hanging upside down. So
and he's also able to take it off.
Yeah,
without any resistance whatsoever.
Yeah,
and then later, that was why I was so confused originally, because I always saw it explicit that the symbiote attached itself to his costume, and that became his costume. And then when he has to finally take it off in the end, and he's struggling, it just kind of peels away like it's just the symbiote.
Exactly. So it's inconsistent with itself. And like I said, did he rip a piece off of it and suddenly it became like a little goo creature? Like,
yeah.
There's no explanation for anything.
The costume looks good.
It looks brilliant. I love it. And I've brought this up before. One of my favorite things about it is the big Spider-Man symbol has the curled up legs, which is what happens to a spider when it dies. Its legs curl up. So just that little piece there that's like, oh, well, that's really neat.
That bit with Brock is dumb. He doesn't even look where he's taking. He doesn't even look at the picture that he's taking.
No, he doesn't.
Professional photographer, ladies and gentlemen.
And he had 2 cameras. Like, is that a thing? Like,
Yeah,
I've got
you
this
just
digital
carry
camera just in
a
case.
digital just in case.
Yeah.
So apparently on this shot coming up when Hayden Church punches the wall, apparently he broke 3 knuckles.
Oh, poor dude.
Apparently he was told that there would be a fake brick, and on the first, but they didn't tell him when they were going to put it in or some baloney, and so he punched a real brick on the first take, and that's the one that's in the finished film. That's another blimmin' CG shot where right up in their faces, and a lot's happening, and you can't really tell. It's so weird that particular type of shot is employed so many times.
Yeah. And there's some really cool stuff in this scene. Unfortunately, the music's playing, but I do like all this stuff here is pretty cool. Like him grinding his face against the
his
train.
Teeth fly off.
Yeah, and like you can see his brain, there when he's got half a face.
It's time to pay, Marco.
I like all of this stuff. This is a cool scene.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll get really weird in a second. Yeah. Once again, where are they? What's happening?
Yep.
There's that weird sound effect of that ding 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 ding.
Yeah.
Sound design is really poor in this movie. I don't really talk about that in movies ever, but it's really noticeable here.
The time I like the sound design most in this is when Harry gets his thingies out, whatever you call them, Batman, fucking
his
arm things.
His gauntlets.
I'm really a wordsmith, ladies and gentlemen.
Here's an awkward edit. What the hell is that? What is that?
So he supposedly kills someone as his first act in the black suit.
Yeah.
I can't believe someone did not turn to them and say, we've gone the complete wrong way round.
Yeah.
And I also don't understand why we need to dedicate a moment to Peter deciding to wear his hair in this way. The fact that we see Peter make an active decision to look like an emo is just so goofy.
It's so incredibly dumb. The fact that, like, his hair could just be messy. Why does it have to be perfectly emo? Like, it would be so much better if he was just like, I don't give a shit what I look like right now.
Yeah.
Fix this damn door. But yeah, this movie gets made fun of a lot for the stupid dancing and the emo haircut. And it's warranted when you actually do go back and watch it and you're like, yeah, what was the decision there? He just literally looked in the mirror and went, I think I'd look better like this.
I don't think he's ever used that computer.
No, that, like, 2002 computer.
So, thing that they cut from this sequence is that originally there's, like, a quick flash to Venom. I think they cut it because something to do with the teeth on the actor that they used looked kind of off. They weren't like Venom teeth, they were normal teeth.
It's also in the trailer, that shot, where he looks in the mirror and he sees like a flash of a Venom sort of creature, but it's not Venom, like we see at the end of the film. It's like the thing's got a mouth, but it doesn't look anything like Venom. It's really weird. And I guess Peter decided that his hair should be combed again.
I find it funny that, and Rosemary Harris plays this perfectly, is that Peter just walks up to Aunt May and he's like, he did it, Aunt May. Spider-Man murdered him, and Aunt May's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, Spider-Man killed him. What?
She's not in this movie enough, I don't think. But again, it's what we get of her, considering all the other stuff they're trying to cram in. I suppose I should be thankful.
Yeah, it's kind of sad as well that we're probably never going to get another Aunt May as good as Rosemary Harris as well.
No, she was the perfect Aunt May.
she was so perfect, and I think we might have talked about this back in our original commentary, or maybe in the Spider-Man 2 one, of these films are so well cast, or at least the first one was so well cast, with getting everybody that was basically right off the page. Rosemary Harris and J.K. Simmons and Cliff Robertson, like all these actors who were so good in these roles. And the film, I will still say that as much as this film has problems, I still prefer it over the Amazing films, because they're better cast. There's heart that is just automatically there from the casting and the chemistry that these actors have together, that there just isn't in the Amazing films to me.
No, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. And there you can see a bunch of people stopping and looking at the fact that they're clearly filming a Spider-Man movie. They decided to shoot this for real in like New York, and like here they are in Times Square. Like you can see all those people in the background just stopping and staring, that you can tell that there are cameras filming somebody.
So Harry is a painter?
Harry's just a real good artist.
You know what they should have done? He should have been painting things in a kind of green tone.
That'd have been great. Oh.
I should have directed this. No, I can't do so, maybe.
It's
change my surname.
There could have been all these little hints that it's within him, and yeah. Instead, he just gets his old ass guy to go out and buy some food. Like, he doesn't think like, oh, I'll just run down to a convenience store and buy some food. It's like, hey, Bernard, get me some food, you decrepit old man.
Yeah, this... Oh, no, we've already gone... This movie's scrambling my brain. I was about to say, the upcoming scene, he finds out that Uncle Ben was killed by Sandman. We've already gone past that, bloody hell.
Yeah, we've had that, yeah.
I should say it's just gone 1:30 for me in the morning, so if I see out of it... So, I mean, I really like Mr. Ditkovich. I think he's great. The actor is very funny.
Yes.
I was always kind of... I never really knew what to make of the relationship between Peter and Ursula.
No, and I think we also mentioned this in the last commentary as well. There's like a bit of a flirtation from Ursula. Like every time Peter shows up, she's like, "Hey, Pete." But here, we had my favorite line: "You are good woman, I am good man." Here she's all like, "Oh, you should definitely call MJ." So I guess she's just sweet. They changed their mind because I guess they thought maybe it puts Peter in a weird predicament of like having to turn her down, I guess. So I guess the filmmakers decide, oh, let's actually not go down that direction of her having a crush on Peter.
Pretty certain
although
that
she's
was an establishing shot
totally into
from the
it
first
later.
movie.
Yeah,
she is. She eats up his stuff.
Yeah, she is totally into it when he's feeding her the cookies, or she's feeding him the cookies.
Oh.
I'll admit, I thought these were like gummy worms that he was adding to the dish for a few years until I realized that's what chilies look like.
If this were the Amazing series, we would have panned over to the Sony stereo system that Harry-O was using.
That's true. And talk about a scene that doesn't fit. Like, I mean, I love Franco doing the twist here. Look at him go. Yeah. But this is so... What? What's happening?
I mean, the actors deliver the hell out of it, and you can tell the way Kirsten Dunst makes it sound, this was like her favourite scene to shoot, probably because she's not crying or brooding in this bit.
Oh man, I would have thought this was the worst. Like, these sorts of scenes are so awkward to shoot. Because there's no music playing in real time. Like...
Yeah. He's got a nice kitchen. Which is, interestingly, all kind of green.
That's true. Well, I guess it was Norman's originally, so...
Norm. I find it interesting that he's just got, that script that he wrote when he was 11 or whatever, just lying around, you know.
Yeah.
He probably hangs it on his wall.
Looks at
See,
it,
I think
jokes
these
about every
actors
night.
have really good chemistry here, but I just think that what Mary Jane does just makes her really unsympathetic. I just don't... Both characters just make decisions and act certain ways that make them both unsympathetic to me, and I don't root for them to get back together in the end.
No, no. And I feel bad for Harry that, like, he knows how wrong he's done, like, immediately. But once again, this would have been so much better if this was just part of his plan to, like, get back at Peter. I'm going to pretend to be his friend, I'm going to steal his girlfriend. Because in the end, that is what his plan ends up being in a second when he gets his memory back. He tells Peter, he makes Peter think that he's stolen her. If that was actually his plan here, that would have been great. Because even this scene here, like, okay, he's normal. But no, it's not.
I don't know, there's something they could have... I feel like I've said it 20 times. There's something they could have done here with Harry not having the influence of Norman, and that's why he's so happy. And not having that... I guess we get to see a version of Harry without all the torment that he's suffered the past couple films. Yeah. It's worthless in the end, and this flashback is very funny. The edit that they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that image of Harry cuddling Norm is very sad.
Yeah, it is. It's
looks like a scene they actually filmed for the first film.
Yeah, they definitely the ages they were in 2001, like there. It's
good.
And here we have the man, the myth, the legend, the Defoe. He's back.
My friends still have yet to buy me my birthday present, but they plan on getting me some kind of movie inspired T-shirt, and I sent them Willem Dafoe shouting, "You know how much I sacrificed."
Good.
So I hope to receive a T-shirt with that on it soon.
I've often said if I could have any prop from any movie ever, it would be that giant painting of Willem Dafoe from this movie. Oh boy, imagine, walk into a house and then you just see a giant picture of Dafoe. Like, oh, that's an interesting piece of art.
It's funny just thinking on this moment in the film now. You forget that Sandman's in this, and that we've still got that to go, and it's like 3 different movies going on at once.
Sandman and Eddie Brock are just absent for most of the movie until the script decides they're important again.
Yep. And it's not even... It's like long stretches where you just don't see anyone. And it's very simply, characters need to be removed for other characters to get screen time.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hang on. Was he using his... No, he's not using his computer there. I thought they got a one-up on me.
Like, he's got a printer there and stuff as well. I mean, I guess he does go to university, so I guess he needs that, actually. Yeah, that makes sense.
Toby does a lot of wide-eyed expressions in this that make him look like a serial killer.
He does have very big eyes. Like, that's a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand really. I don't really get Harry's plan. I don't know. Just break up with Peter seems so tamed.
It really does. Especially when you hear "first we attack his heart," and you compare that to the first film where Goblin attacks Aunt May, and here it's just it's a different type of attacking his heart, which I actually do kind of dig. But it's like, we're going to have MJ break up with him. And then, the next scene is, oh, well, that's because I'm the other guy. But Peter figures out immediately that this is all not true. So, I mean, in the end, it's a pretty shitty plan.
Well, he doesn't ever approach Mary Jane and say, oh, I know that... It's never established between Mary Jane and Peter that they are both aware that it was set up by Harry. The way the movie kind of plays it is that Mary Jane was probably kind of planning on doing it anyway.
Yeah, and there's a scene
Really
in
weird.
there's a scene in the trailer where, and like this voiceover was used in like every TV spot and everything, where MJ goes, "We've done terrible things to each other, but we have to forgive each other, or everything we ever were will mean nothing." It's something like that. And she's sitting in Peter's room saying it. And I've often thought, was that her finding Peter, like, just before, the big final sequence? Because if that's the case, like, yeah, just that to me would have made sense if she tried to explain herself to him. But yeah, again, I don't actually know where that would fit in the movie.
I need a scene between Mary Jane and Harry where she asks him why he's a villain. There's just that I need the connective tissue. We're just skirting past all these details. I need to know what Mary Jane is thinking of the situation. If this is orchestrated by Harry, or if she does kind of want to break up with him, I need to know this stuff. And Toby's double chin is really noticeable in this shot.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to body shame poor Toby. I love Toby, but yeah, it is just you question, like, why would this actor who knows he's going to be playing Spider-Man not work out for this movie? Like, especially when you look at him in the first movie where he's got those sweet abs and everything, and you're like, wow, the difference 5 years makes, and the complacency that's clearly here.
So this is when Franco really starts getting into the the crazy evil goblin, and it's just such a wonderfully hammy performance, and he revels in it so much. I just wish we got more of it in this film, and I honestly think like he's the perfect successor to Willem Dafoe's Goblin. You can tell just from the when he does his massive grin and the way he's talking to Peter right now, like he could have nailed, Hobgoblin or something. Instead, when he is in the Goblin costume, he's really just like a guy in a costume attacking a guy, or a guy in a costume helping his friend. We never actually, again, we only ever see him act that way out of the costume. And and I don't really understand why the movie punishes him the way that it does in the end through him dying. I don't know what the movie's trying to tell me about their friendship.
I also want to bring up there, and here comes the great wink.
The bit where he's hiding under the table. Just go in, and he's hiding under the table.
I don't know why they made this decision, because it's clear now. Peter's like, he remembers now. He's the Goblin. And instead he's sitting here, and here's where the theme actually does kick in, and it's super stupid. As he turns his head.
This scene is when the movie, not the scene that we were just on of Peter once again brooding in his apartment. That's when the movie loses me. When I officially say, okay, I'm not feeling this, I'm not enjoying it, I'm not buying it, because I think this whole bit is probably my least favorite section of the film, just the mid section.
Oh, really?
I think when James Franco gets his memory back, it starts to become much more interesting, and this fight is really well done, and it's really well. I love the quips that they have back and forth, and all that kind of stuff. For me, the movie actually becomes really enjoyable when, after this scene, we come out of the dark and we lighten it up with some humor.
Yeah, I agree. I understand the decision to make a darker kind of Spider-Man film when he does have the black suit. But like you said, it didn't build to that. It started off immediately with him murdering somebody. Like, this should have been...
It's not earned, either. It all feels, again, contrived and shoehorned.
Yeah, like, this should have been his first act. Like, the little things like tearing the the drain grating off and destroying Eddie's camera. Like, they're all little things that really help. But but then this should have been the escalation from that, and then him murdering somebody should have been from that. Instead, the big thing that makes him realize is like a domestic abuse, which is lovely to have in your Spider-Man movie.
Well, see, something they could have done well here is that, you know, Harry has been accusing Peter of killing his dad, and he does kind of say in this sequence, "I'm done trying to convince you," but you could have had a thing where he's just so sick of this guy's shit. And, and again, they could have done something there. But yeah, like you say, the Order is just completely fucked up, because his first act in the black suit is killing a guy, or at least he assumes he's killed someone. As far as he's concerned, that's it. He then chucks a bomb right at his best friend's face. Another instance that I would expect him to, you know, look at himself and go, well, maybe I should calm down. But what ultimately gets him to have that moment is accidentally hitting MJ.
Yeah.
It's not even an intentional hit. He accidentally hits her.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. I also just real quick while we're on the scene, the weird jazz music that was playing all throughout that scene, that's, to me, is the best example of why this score absolutely fucking sucks. I hate this music. But yeah, I really do like that scene there of, you know, you took him from me and he loved me, and no, he despised you. Like, him in the black suit is what causes him to finally tell Harry the truth about, wake up, Norman hated you.
Yeah.
I do like that, but yeah, then he ruins it by throwing a bomb in his face. And now all these women notice him because he's got an emo haircut?
Well, yeah, they even bring this up in the commentary that it's inconsistent. I find it... There's actually a lot of things they bring up in the commentary that I think calls direct attention to some of the problems in the movie, but sometimes women are attracted to Peter Parker, sometimes they're repulsed by him, sometimes they're attracted to him again. The movie can't make up its mind. In the scene that we're watching, they found him attractive. Later, in the montage, they find him unattractive. In the scene where he takes Gwen to the jazz club, the waitress finds him attractive.
Except she's a little disgusted, because she's like, right this way, sir. And she's got that look on her face of gross. But at the same time,
when he pulls away, she kind of gives a, "Ooh, yeah," kind of look.
I do think Maguire's great in this particular scene. Like, him being a like a dickhead to Eddie here is pretty great, I think.
And we haven't actually said anything about Topher Grace. I actually think he's very good in the role. I think that there's a nice little kind of touch that they do with him being the reverse of Peter. But yeah, I don't actually have a lot of problems with Eddie Brock as a character in this, but I do think that, I don't know, I don't imagine that he would be the kind of guy to become Venom.
No, and which is the big problem with his casting, is that Eddie Brock is a jock, and like in the comics he's sort of this hard-ass jock that, once again, is also, you know, someone that works at the Daily Bugle, but I like the fact that they tried to make him sort of like a Bizarro to Peter, and he's also a photographer and all of that. I kind of like that, but they do make Eddie really pathetic in this, and I don't blame Topher Grace at all. Topher Grace is really perfect for what they wanted. And he is such a legit fan that I think it's pretty cool that he got to do this. But yeah, I feel bad for Topher Grace, because he got a lot of hate for this, when I don't think it's his fault. You know, I think he was miscast, but I think the character was miswritten. So
yeah, I think he's well cast for the character that they wrote, but it's not
exactly.
Again, it's the script. You know, it all comes back down to the script. I'll say that while we're on probably the most controversial segment of the movie, this is my favourite part.
Yeah, I mean,
I find this like a really funny alternative to the raindrops are falling on my head sequence from Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
And Toby is just hilarious eating those cookies, and I'm like, yeah, go get me some.
Yeah.
And his
once
eyeliner.
again, yeah. People bring up, like, oh, when he's got the black suit, he just struts around and dances. It's like, yeah, but he actually does start off once again by killing someone. Once again, the escalation is all wrong. The order that this all happens in is wrong. But Toby is so good.
He's a great comedic actor. He's got great comedic timing. Only the Spider-Man movies are really... I mean, he's very funny also in Pleasantville, but more so in the Spider-Man films.
Yeah. He's really funny in Wonder Boys. Like, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm surprised that more people haven't taken him in more comedic roles.
Yeah.
Because he's good. But yeah, so this is an example of women just not finding him attractive.
Yeah, that one in particular has always gotten me, of just the point and he turns around with the woman. That one's always gotten me.
I like it when he, like, clicks on that woman's hip.
Yeah. And this one here as well. I mean, this is all goofy, but just the big thumbs up. I think that's brilliant.
It's when he comes out of this store and claps, I lose it every time. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's because
the fact that he makes a real life decision here to, like, if this was a real person, this is a decision he makes in the middle of the street.
I think
no music
someone's
playing.
done an edit of this where there's no music.
Yeah.
And back to the Sandman movie that we cut away from for 20 minutes.
Here's a question for you. Would you have been happy if they just used Sandman as a reason to, like, would this be better if Sandman actually died there?
What I would do is such a cheat, but I would have, like, a final to be continued scene where we reveal he's still alive.
Yeah, I was thinking that could have been this could have been an after credit sequence,
or even just like an end scene.
Yeah.
But ideally, yeah, an after credit scene. I mean, that's the difficult thing, because do you put it in the movie or do you put it after the movie? Because an after credit scene isn't really in the movie, technically speaking, because people are going to walk out or whatever. But yeah,
and I say that from the perspective of 2017 as well, where everybody does stay. I mean,
my earliest memory of after credit scene comes from your favorite film, X-Men 3.
Yeah, well, that was definitely a film where I didn't stay till the end, and then I heard about it, and then like I may or may not have found a copy of it and watched that scene. Then I remember just for whatever reason staying after Iron Man. And I was rewarded with a scene. Like, I wasn't expecting one. Apparently that did leak beforehand that Sam Jackson was going to show up, but I didn't know that. I wasn't really looking up news on the internet at that time for these movies.
First time I saw that, my dad and I were watching. I was, like, introducing Dad to Iron Man and Thor and Hulk. We knew that the Avengers was going to be coming out, and he wanted to catch up with them. And my dad's the kind of guy that will go on IMDb and look up the trivia for the movie that he's currently watching. And he turned to me and he said, apparently there's an after credits scene. And when Samuel L. Jackson turned up, I went, I actually know who that's meant to be. It's always relieving, because I'm an extremely casual comic reader. I mean, I only show up for Spider-Man, really. I've got some Dread stuff and Fantastic Four, but outside of, I'm very selective on it. So if I recognize something, I'm very, very relieved and happy with myself.
Yeah, I remember watching that scene, going like, "Oh, they've cast this guy as Nick Fury. That's kind of weird." Just sort of thinking at the time, like, "Oh, he's sort of like an old, like, white guy." But
well, I'd been reading
Ultimate
at that point. This is great. It's ridiculously over the top, but I gotta say, there's something about the kind of jazzy influence of Spider-Man that I kind of feel throughout this sequence. that I kind of dig, or now dig on this. His fucking hip thrust.
Yeah, I know.
And this is such a weird scene. And that
It
waitress
really
is
is.
just having a look.
This
And
is
everyone's
one-
like, "Oh, Toby, you're really sexy."
Yeah, like this is one of those movie tropes that like doesn't ever happen in real life. People don't just start dancing in the middle of a jazz club and everyone's just like, "Oh, let's pay attention to them." Like, I'd be like, "Oh, get a fucking
Get
room!
the
I'm
fuck out
trying
of
to
my
eat."
face, I'm
Like,
trying to have a beer.
Yeah, exactly. It's so stupid.
Doesn't he because he like runs across the bar at one point, doesn't he?
Yeah, he
I
does.
was like, lift up my drink, like, watch it, fucking.
Yeah, I'd probably trip him.
I think
I'll be honest.
I think Bryce Dallas Howard does as well. The guild.
Bryce Dallas Howard is really good Gwen Stacy, or she would have been a really good Gwen Stacy in another movie. Yeah,
She's drop dead gorgeous in this.
she is so pretty. I remember before the movie coming out, my friends and I all being like, "Wow, Gwen Stacy's in this one. Have you seen her?" Like, yeah.
They should have had Christian Bale come in and shout at the sound guy, "Walking up behind Bryce!" Ah, da, 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 da.
Oh, da 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 da. Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about that rant is that Bryce gets a name drop.
Everything okay here, Paul?
So, this big guy
It's one of
here,
his
I'm
serial
pretty
killer
sure,
looks there.
the serial killer. I'm pretty sure this big.
Here's the big bit.
Yeah.
I do. Kirsten Dunst does some funny reactions to stuff in this. Well, that just then when she's like, "What the fuck have you?"
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Her face was, "What the hell?" I'm pretty sure. I was gonna say that big dude that was the bouncer. I think he was the guy in Iron Man 2 that Whiplash beats up in the prison. Takes his place.
So he just can't catch a break.
Yeah, he can't catch a break. These people that are attending this jazz bar must be like, "Wow, big night!" Like, we've just seen we've seen some crazy stuff tonight.
This is a nice little transition.
It is, and obviously,
I love this image. This is, I mean, they used this for the poster, but it's a gorgeous visual.
I remember when that teaser poster came out, and it's just this image here of Peter kneeling on the church top. But I remember seeing that and thinking, "Oh my god, they're doing the black suit!" Like, it wasn't even something I had considered, back then, like being in high school and not really, like I said, keeping up with news on comic book movies. It was just I would see them when they came out.
And doesn't this feel so? Doesn't it feel so long since we last saw Spider-Man?
It does, yeah.
Sorry, you were talking there.
No, that's okay. Yeah, it's a different time. Seeing that image just made me think, oh well, we're going to get Venom. They're going to do this and this and this. It was just like it was cool to see a teaser image like that just straight out told you this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's still to this day, I think, one of the best movie posters. Just it's so perfect.
It's very convenient that there's no one else in this church.
Yeah.
It's convenient that he goes to a church.
Yeah. Once again, the convenience of like people being in the right place at the right time.
I mean, I've heard
takes the
people
cake.
like defend the question of why does Spider-Man go to a church? You can kind of come up with an excuse for Eddie, since you can tie it into the line when Peter says "get religion."
Get religion. Yeah.
But I've heard people come up with the excuse, well, it's in the comics, and I'm like, well, I don't care if it's in the comics. It's got to make sense in the film.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks great. It's a very atmospheric sequence. I actually really like the score here. I think there's some nice stuff when Eddie walks in, and these shots here that were in the trailers. I mean, this stuff is iconic.
Yeah.
This got me so pumped when before the movie came out. Again, I don't know what costume he's wearing.
Yeah. I have a feeling this was also a sequence that they released as a scene. Which is like, what are you fucking thinking? Like, you know, releasing this as a scene before the movie comes out. Like, yeah.
I find it mildly amusing that he's like suspended there.
Yeah. And once again, well. It's not like it's attached itself to the person with the most hate in the room. It's the person that's just closest to in the room.
Yeah,
like, it's not like Peter was full of hate when it first decided to attach itself to his bike. So it's just right place, right time for the symbiote. And notice we don't see Peter's washboard abs in this scene. It's just, shoulders up.
Yeah, I don't like the darker palette for this.
No, neither do I.
Looking at that shot, I didn't like that.
No. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a shot that's meant to be in a Spider-Man movie somehow. It's like, yeah, it was weird.
So there is the image of Mary Jane there that you said was from when she's waving. There is also in front of that, or at least there was a few scenes ago, there is also the picture of that Peter takes of her like pointing at the book.
Oh, good.
So there's that.
So they both did the right thing and the wrong thing all at the same time.
I mean, I will give it this, as baloney as the script is. It at least has A leads to B leads to C. Scenes at least lead into each other. There's at least a coherency. You at least understand why each scene comes after the other. It's not quite like a Dawn of Justice or a Terminator Genesis where we just don't know why things are happening.
That's true, yeah.
There's at least cause and effect. I don't know, it's weird, like I felt far kinder to this film before watching it earlier today. But the script really does just kind of not work at all.
No, it doesn't.
And it's such a shame because there's such good talent on hand and the first two movies were so good.
That's almost exactly what I was going to say, yeah. It's a really big shame when you look at the first two and then this was the ending of the trilogy and it's like, man. They had so many ideas, way too many hands in the cookie jar.
It's that
had they just gone with Raimi, trusting Raimi like they did with the other films, could have been a big difference. And instead, Avi really wanted to do Venom, and he's getting his wish, and he's finally getting to do a Venom movie with Tom Hardy for some reason. It's not connected to the MCU. It's just a Sony Venom film, just to make everything confusing. Like, yeah, we should probably talk about that. We're getting a Venom movie, and it's official now. This is 10 years in the making.
Yeah. They've been announced. There's been a new Venom movie announced every 3 or so years for the past 10 years or so. I find it. There are no words for them doing that now, and just imagining. We should probably say this actually. Sandman's super nonchalant reaction to a xenomorph Spider-Man. He just starts walking away.
He's like, "What the hell is that?" and walks away.
It's like I don't know, finding a spider on your hand and then chucking it and then walking off.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a fucking alien. I checked that out. He looks like Steve Buscemi when he's walking on this wall.
What, as Venom? The
Venom
when face looks like Steve Buscemi. Yeah, the Venom face is not very good here as well. Like, it's too flat. It was perfect when he screamed at Sandman. He had the tongue and everything. It's too flat there, though.
I don't like that Sandman becomes all petty and he wants to get revenge on Spider-Man because what they've been telling us this whole movie is that he's an innocent guy. Or the movie will go on to tell us that he's an innocent guy, and well, not innocent, but he obviously robs banks and shit. But
Yeah.
he's got a heart, and he didn't kill Uncle Ben and all that kind of stuff. But this actively has him teaming up with Venom to kill Spider-Man, and I don't know where Venom gets the information that Flint Marko has a sick daughter.
Exactly. So, one of the rumors before this movie came out was that JJ was going to hire Eddie Brock to try and dig up some dirt on Peter Parker because MJ left Jameson's son for Peter. And
okay.
That would have made sense because that is just completely not even slightly referenced here in this movie.
Yeah.
And therefore, he could have been following Peter and thus finding out Peter's doing a lot of research on this Flint Marko guy. Oh, it looks like he might have killed Uncle Ben. And, could have done research on him. That could have tied that in. Instead, they didn't do that. So, yeah. Also, this news guy just flat out said, "The Sandman." That's a...
Yes.
Yeah.
It's interesting that Sandman gets a name, but Venom doesn't.
Yeah.
So, apparently, in the original script, this was meant to be Gwen Stacy that's in jeopardy in this finale. Don't know if I think that would have been a better choice. It would have been something different.
Would have been different.
The explanation they give is that Harry and Peter need to come together for a cause, so it makes sense. But it is Mary Jane in trouble again, dangling from a great height,
Yeah.
This news reporter.
Yeah, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but she's not good.
No. There's a really... Oh, I like that. Yeah, this was the stuff I was saying about earlier.
The blatant Spider-Man.
That made me laugh in the cinema.
Comic book font, yeah.
There's we'll see it because you can see it in the outtakes. When the car starts dropping and Mary Jane and it's flipping around, Kirsten Dunst is so obviously smiling.
Yeah.
She is so obviously laughing her head off. And there's a bit where she kind of throws herself back and then forwards to the camera. It's really obvious that she's smiling. Yeah. But yeah, this the news reporter. It's especially, it's one hit after the other because she said she gives a really bad delivery of the brutality of it, and then cuts, and then it cuts to the Anchorman, but the footage of her is she's facing a camera, and she's not looking up, and she's not by any. It's such a weird continuity error,
and a continuity error that is really sad to see in a movie as big as this. Really, nobody picked that up.
Yeah. I want to know what Harry's sword is made of.
I want to know why there's CDs on the ground.
You ruined my CD collection.
Also, he just walks into the Goblin Lair. Did he know this was all in?
Yeah. This is such a quick, we've got to come up with a reason for him to decide to be good.
This is so lazy. I hate it.
I'll tell you what. I saw Spider-Man 3 with my dad, and then separately my mum and my sister went to see it. And then the only thing my mum said to me was, "Oh yeah, I liked it. I really liked the bit when the old man told Harry about his dad." I was like, "That's it."
That's the moment you chose. Oh.
This is just so weird and contrived.
It doesn't. It's just a quick fix. It's really poor that they did that.
So here comes that laugh. Apparently, he had to call up Kirsten Dunst and get her back in for the shoot because she was finished, and they had to get her in for this finale. So here it comes. she's kind of smiling
That
there,
one,
and then this bit when it here. I'm having so much fun.
I'm having so much fun. That's exactly what that was. Whee! Oh man.
So yeah, at this point, I just don't know what I'm supposed to take away from the whole theme of Peter's pride and him kind of indulging himself in all of this popularity, because
you're meant to think America. It just had
he doesn't pay for anything. He doesn't. There's just I don't get what the movie's trying to tell me. I feel like a broken record, but you get so much of that in this movie where there's just not a consistent arc. There's not a consistent story. So, I mean, towards the end, they start talking about having a choice to do what's right and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, but Peter killed a guy earlier.
Yeah, he did, and there was no consequences for it. The guy just happened to not die.
No, he didn't make a choice that Sandman live again or whatever. We don't even get a reaction that Sandman is still alive. Or that he's relieved to see that Sandman is still around or whatever. Nothing.
There was the Spidey sense line, which,
Oh, yeah. This looks really painful.
Now, I gotta ask. So, these aren't webs, these are all extensions of the symbiote, right?
Yeah.
So, like, right now, Peter is lying in symbiote.
I guess so.
It's,
should be able to take him, I guess.
It should, yeah. It should be like old friend and try and bond with him again.
Old friend! How are you? I've missed you.
It's just like Charles and Eric.
I like that Mary Jane actively tries to help.
I like the fact that Mary Jane tries to take out Venom. Like, just think about that sentence.
He takes ages to, like, actually lunge at him there.
Yeah.
He pauses for that cement brick to come down on him. So this is that shot that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, where they're somehow falling off of a skyscraper, I guess.
Yeah.
They're closer to the ground.
Yeah, like, look how close he is to the ground here. And then it cuts away, and suddenly he's really far away.
And he's very CG. That's disgusting.
Yeah. I will say, though... that the editing is a nice... That the cuts do a decent integration of the live action and CG stuff.
Mary Jane is very agile in this movie. She happened to drop the cinder block exactly where Venom's head was and didn't decapitate her boyfriend. And, she also happened to leap perfectly into the symbiote web thing.
Apparently all of her screams in this movie are recycled from Spider-Man 2.
Ooh, really?
Yep. Apparently.
She was like, I'm not doing that shit anymore. You have 2 movies worth of it.
There's a really awkward thing coming up. I can't remember if it's come and gone already, but it's Sam Raimi's kids going, awesome, wicked, cool.
Yeah, that's
and it's a reference to a deleted scene from the first Spider-Man. That's so weird, because it's not in Spider-Man. It's a deleted scene. And so presumably anyone that hasn't seen that scene isn't going to know what on earth that's... I don't know, maybe just to a normal person it's just a fun little thing with kids, but I find it like, I know what that's meant to be referencing, and I know that no one's going to get the reference, so I'm just confused by it.
Yeah, I always just thought that scene was super cringeworthy, or that moment was really cringeworthy.
Yeah.
That sound Venom makes there, that...
I mean, I'll say this, I don't think that they did... I think they did with Venom kind of as much as you can kind of really do with Venom as a monster villain. Because he does just kind of do the... and, like, threaten people that Spider-Man cares about and fights him. There's not a whole lot to Venom, so I can't criticize them too much for how much he's kind of not that huge. He doesn't get that much screen time, because I don't know what I would have them do otherwise. I mean, I'd maybe have Venom's face on screen a little bit longer just for that appeal, but I mean, the problem is that they're working with a version of Eddie Brock that they can't do a whole lot with after he becomes Venom anyway.
Yeah. Here come Raimi's kids, I think. Yep.
Yeah. Remember that scene that no one knows?
I have... I guess one of my problems with Venom in this is, there's these little things like, Venom's kind of like you said, a monster, so it should be a lot bigger than Peter. Like, I like the design of the costume. Some people really don't, but I like the fact that the symbiote just sort of based its design now off of the Spider-Man costume. Because how else do you explain why he decides to give himself a big symbol on his chest? So it kept the webbing and everything. I kind of dig that. But he doesn't do little things like refer to himself as we, and he doesn't have a scary voice. He just has like those loud screams. He doesn't have the distorted voice. He's just got Topher Grace's voice.
Sure.
Yeah, so little things like that where it's like
there's no you're right. There's nothing in there about it being a symbiotic relationship and that kind of being an addiction. There's not really anything to do. I mean, in stuff like Spectacular Spider-Man, I go to that reference because I think that's probably the best version that they've done of Venom and Eddie Brock. You really get the sense that they need each other. Like, they cannot live without the other. And you get a lot of these like internalized scenes of them both talking, and really it's just like the internal thoughts of one character. You get none of that in this. And that, like you say, that kind of makes Venom interesting, and none of that's here. I will say also, because while it's that guy's sleeve looks like Shocker. While I remember it, I hate the musical cue for Harry's reintroduction. They just recycle the Green Goblin theme, and it's not heroic at all.
No.
I just think it's really an awkward choice.
Yeah.
And there's CG Harry face.
Yeah.
I mean, these faces look like they belong in, Quidditch World Cup PC game and shit like that.
I've always thought this move was pretty cool here, where they kind of surf down his arm.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of fun. Once again, Harry just knows how to do all of this stuff.
Yeah. They were also seconds away from the ground again.
Yeah.
And then cuts away and they're fine. I like how the police are doing nothing.
Yeah, they're just kind of just applauding the real heroes doing the good job.
They're just watching.
Yeah.
They deserve a break.
Like, compare that to the first Spider-Man movie where they try and help Spider-Man against the Green Goblin, the people of New York. Yeah. And here, it's like the actual police are just like, well, we don't know how to fight a sand monster, so we'll just kick back.
Like in Spider-Man 2, you've got them patrolling the whole Doc Ock fight scene, and the second Aunt May's clear, they're shooting at Doc Ock,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The music sucks.
Yeah, it's the worst.
It's not wallpaper. I will give it credit in that it's not just, it's not just background fodder. It is, it does take center stage, and it is trying to be a score rather than just, fill up the soundtrack. But it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And Peter's eyepiece is too high. I don't understand how he can see out of that.
Actually, yeah.
Or it's like too far over, or whatever. I don't buy that surely he cannot get full vision in that. This was a big moment in the trailers as well.
Yeah, that was a cool moment. So I've mentioned before, I was deathly afraid of Venom as a child. I know I've mentioned this to you before, Sam. I always used to turn away at the end of the intro of the cartoon, where Venom shows up. So when Venom was going to be in this film, I used to think oh, god damn it, I'm going to have to deal with this. Venom, in live action. I can't deal with that. And, Luckily for me, I didn't really have to because you never see his face. But but yeah, little moments like that in the trailer, I just remember thinking like, oh god damn it, like it's all coming back to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I like being bad. It makes me happy. I just don't know what the character. I don't know. This just I don't care about anyone in this final conflict. I don't like any of these characters anymore.
Yeah, I do have to say
I'm not sympathetic for anyone.
No, and I love the fact that Peter's just now realizing that it's sound that stops it.
Yes.
It's like, oh, you mean that's how I was able to tear it off? I never figured that out. Like, you didn't know?
I would like to point out as well that had Harry not done this, this would have been the end of Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man would have fully died. He like figured out how to defeat Venom and then died.
Too little, too late.
Yeah.
I do like that scream. Oh!
Yeah.
There's outtakes of Kirsten Dunst cracking up at that bit where she has to.
Yeah, don't they like drop
a
dummy from like a great height?
I watched this bit with, I think like it was on TV, and I was watching it with my girlfriend, and she just goes, "Web onto it. What are you doing?"
Yeah,
when
exactly.
He's reaching for the thing.
Oh, look at how bad this looks! Oh god!
Oh yeah, I've never noticed his face before.
Oh.
I mean, it's a fairly creative way of doing the whole sound thingy.
Yeah, I actually really like
awful.
this. Like, yeah, the idea of sort of putting him in like a prison is pretty cool.
I don't know why he would bother trying to save Eddie Brock at this point when he's already killed Sandman and chucked a bomb in his friend's face.
Well, you see, he has morals now because he's not. It's all the black suit.
Indeed. And this is like he's really far away from it, and then he's really close.
Yeah.
And this also, I hate this actually when he chucks the bomb. Because we've already established that this blows off half of Harry's... Well, it doesn't blow off half his face, but it scars him quite. This should, like, blow Peter back. He's really close to it.
Well, also, it, like, blew up in Harry's face and he's still alive. There, it blew up kind of near Topher Grace and he's completely disintegrated.
Yes, no, that's what I meant. I had it the wrong way around.
Yeah, like... Yeah, sorry, I was just saying it disintegrated him. So yeah, Peter should have been flown back. But yeah, also it's completely inconsistent. Like, yeah, it disintegrated a human being, but all those metal poles are still there. Like,
and it's just so like not dramatic that he's just standing there and kind of covering his face. Like that should be a blow you back because he really tried to save Eddie. I don't know.
Yeah.
He also runs towards Eddie when he's got webs.
That's true. Yeah.
And he did that earlier, like literally like 10 seconds before that happened.
It's also
here we have
now.
Yes. we also have Sandman now telling us the real story of what happened. I don't know. It's just a shit retcon.
Yeah. I'm not really a bad guy, you see. I helped him out of the car, even, like...
It should probably be noted that this was Cliff Robertson's last movie.
Oh, was it really? I didn't know that.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
And
I love Cliff Robertson. He's great.
He's dying in the last movie he's in.
Oh, God.
And the movie killed the series, way! So
and
I
with
guess
that gunshot, Spider-Man trilogy died. Yeah.
I guess we could talk about Spider-Man 4 in the credits because there's just going to be too much shit to discuss between now and then. I will say this: I like the music here when Sandman kind of disintegrates off into the day. Apparently, that was Thomas Hayden Church's input. That he just kind of go away.
That's cool.
And I like the way it looks. It's very, very pretty. It's a tender little moment. But this whole dialogue exchange just makes no sense, because he's like, I've done terrible things too, or we all have a choice, I forgive you. And it's like, you were trying to kill each other. You were trying to kill each other.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the fact that Peter forgives him. I do like that.
I guess
but
it's just that there's no. I don't think it's earned.
Sure.
Because what arc has he gone through? I just don't understand what his story is meant to be.
Yeah. It is a
the
long
actors
moment here
perform the
before he
hell out
actually
of it.
says it. It's like he does contemplate it, or he's trying to actually say the words. I do. Maybe it's just from a performance standpoint that I don't mind it, but
the movie gives them the time to be in that moment, which is nice.
And Sandman was also crying there, which begs the question: does his physical form actually allow him to have tear ducts now, or just a thought?
He's pretty lucky that Harry waited all that time for them to have a heart-to-heart before he completely bit the dust.
Yeah.
Again, too many cooks, too many things happening. And then this whole exchange about "you're my best friend." Were they? Because they kind of seemed like dicks to each other.
Well, I think they were at one stage, like very briefly when they were on an excursion, and then it all changed. Yeah, I don't know. It's everything that's gone down in their relationship. Harry.
I kind of expect him to just be like, "Sorry, I made you to break up."
Yeah,
it's just awkward.
But you did keep it a secret that you were Spider-Man. You could have told me about my dad this whole time. Yeah. Peter's actually a terrible friend to everybody.
He turns to Mary Jane. He's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm the son of the Green Goblin," and
she's just like, "Oh, right, I get it." Oh, look, Toby's crying. It's the worst movie ever.
This sounds a little bit Disney-ish, this cue.
Yeah. And
this none of this bit is earned.
Nope.
Whatever life holds in store for us, we always have a choice. Nope.
Yeah.
That's not. That was literally this is the first we're hearing of choice.
And yeah, there's Gwen and Captain Stacy for no reason.
Flash Thompson's in the background. I'll give it that.
He is, yeah. Which once again is kind of weird that they chose him. Like, it's not like he and Harry were friends.
No. There's a funeral in every Spider-Man movie.
Except for the second one.
No, they visit... Well, it's not a funeral. Okay, they visit a grave site.
So, yeah, I guess they are at somebody's grave in every Spider-Man movie. That's a good point.
Jeff Goldblum next to Kirsten Dunst.
Jazzy Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum probably listens to a lot of jazz music. He comes across as that sort of guy.
So I will say this. I don't really know what this is meant to tell us about their relationship and like where it's all what it all led up to. But I will say that I kind of like this kind of sweet, tender moment between them as a contrast to the huge swinging finales of the first two movies. I like that it comes down to their relationship. Because the first movie very clearly opens with, this story is all about a girl.
Exactly. And that's why I do really like this, because it brings it right back to that, which I think is great.
Again, I don't really know what it's meant to mean, if they've forgiven each other, if they're going to get back together, if I don't really know what it's meant to mean. I'm going to assume that it's that they just forgive each other. Yeah. I just don't get the impression that this is a relationship that they should get back into. It seems really unhealthy to me.
Yeah.
They don't talk to each other.
It's, yeah. I mean, I guess it's ambiguous about what this actually means. Are they getting back together? Are they just comforting each other after all they've been through?
I think it's meant to be forgiveness.
I guess so, yeah.
But it's not explicit enough.
Yeah. Well, that's Spider-Man 3.
Bloody hell, it's a long movie.
Yeah. And it is not
so
good.
I don't... what bugs me about Sony Pictures is that... Or Columbia Pictures at this point, whatever... is that they keep having this crazy mentality that we've got to cram everything into this one movie. You're making Spider-Man movies. You're going to get 7 sequels. You're going to have plenty of movie time to do as much shit as you want. Stop trying to cram it all into one fucking film. And that's part of the problem. That's a huge part of the problem with this movie. And they're still doing it. There's still a need to get as much stuff in there as if we can. We'll see how Spider-Man Homecoming goes.
Yeah.
So originally, in fact, one of the original ideas of Spider-Man 3 was that Sandman and Vulture were going to be friends in prison, and they were going to have a kind of friendship going on. And the Vulture was going to be played by Sir Ben Kingsley. That obviously didn't happen in the end. Spider-Man 4 would have seen them eventually pursue the Vulture idea.
John Malkovich.
I've seen the... John Malkovich, yeah. I've seen the storyboards that they drew up for Spider-Man 4, and I've heard what Sam Raimi has said. And it honestly sounds like a really fun movie that I would really like to have seen.
Yeah.
And it's... But it's very clear that style of filmmaking and the hurried nature of Sony Productions, that they just weren't going to gel, and you can just see it begin to fall apart in Spider-Man 3, in that they need the movie to be made in a very specific amount of time, and Sam Raimi is a filmmaker that cares about the movie that he's making, and he will demand the time to write the script, and that's the reason Spider-Man 4 didn't come about in the end, is because they said, we need it by 2011. He said, I need to work on this script. And they said, well, you need to have it done by this time. And he said, well, I don't think I can make a good enough movie by then, and I don't want to deliver a half-assed project. So he left the project, and interestingly, it didn't even come out in 2011. Amazing Spider-Man came out in 2012, so nice one there.
I remember they originally had Spider-Man 4 and Thor, funny enough, like, slated for the same release date. Like, that would have been interesting. Yeah.
Anyway, Spider-Man 3, we've done a commentary. Kirk, thanks for joining, as always.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Would you like to plug yourself? Where can people find you if they find you absolutely hilarious and they want more of you?
Oh, yeah, if you liked this and you want more, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Kirk Beatty, and I'm sure I'll tweet something really funny, because, yeah, that's what I do, you know?
Cool. Right, well, thank you for listening, everyone, and goodbye.
Bye.